because I'm in here. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We didn't do our usual introduction because we actually did it without you.
It was great, though.
It was good. Both of us know it. I'm Adriana Monique Alvarez with Alma Publishing, and we are continuing our conversations with the contributors of Awakening. Today, I am so honored to have Sierra with us. Sierra, thank you for joining me. Where are you joining us from? I love your beautiful background.
Thank you. I am tuning in from Medellin, Colombia in South America.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I love that everyone is literally scattered across the entire world. Yeah, so, before we went live, we were discussing what we were thinking of having this early of a conversation on a Friday morning as mothers and all the rest of it. So what I really appreciate is that, every contributor, they have multiple things going on in their life, right? And if I like just living in 2020 is like another thing. So I just am so, I appreciate you showing up because I know there's so many big things swirling simultaneously right now. So thank you so much.
Well, and it's my pleasure. And this actually, I always see the links and see the synchronicities. This is what the underlying message of conscious parenting is about. You become a parent and the other things in your life don't go away. You can't really compartmentalize anything. No, it's not convenient that this whatever thing is happening right now. And you still have to show up in this way and this way and this way and this way. And there's parenting, which comes with a whole ton of expectations, our own, those of society, a whole lot of responsibilities. And certainly in the modern era, responsibilities that I never had to learn how to do until I had to learn how to do them. You know what I mean? I think in other societies and other times, we grew up doing these things. Like parenting wasn't just for the person who birthed the thing. It was like, this is what we all do. We all take care of each other. And in our society that loves compartmentalization, it's like, you birthed it, you do it. Like
it's your job.
Right. And you've never done it before because you never had to do it before. My birth was the first birth I attended.
Yes.
And, we go, I think there's so much fear around something because it's unknown. That's it. Because it's unknown, we're afraid of it inherently. And then we're afraid of it because of what we're told about it. But this parenting it's a learning in itself. As you know, my daughter is among my greatest teachers, if not totally my greatest teacher. And largely because I want her to be, I allow her to be, and I look to her, I look at the interaction, the exchange as an opportunity to learn. I could look at exactly the same opportunity as a pain in my ass.
Right.
If I may say so. But I'm looking at it for like, where's the learning here? Where's the growing here? Where have I been doing things differently? How can I do them? And that perspective, that ability, that willingness to look for the lesson, the learning, the growing, comes from the perspective of wanting to do this consciously. It is possible to completely be overwhelmed by the responsibility, by the millions of things that are happening. I'm not keeping count, but here in Colombia, and I only know this because I'm working with some folks at the UN here in Medellin who have been like, we've been in home lockdown for 20 weeks. So they're counting. So I know at least my daughter has been 24/7 at home with me, no school, for about that long. I'm not counting. Somebody told me the number, so like, there you go. It just is what it is, right? When she's sick, she's sick. It doesn't really matter how I feel about it. but it does matter how I respond to it. I don't have control over what is, but I do have control and influence over how I respond, which creates my reality.
Yes.
I, on some level, and this is just sort of a little mind bending, I can't create reality, except I can create reality, right? By deciding to show up for it in a certain way. And this is what I go through in my chapters. What do I have to do in order to be able to show up in a way that I want, so that I'm not always coming at it from a reactionary perspective, but a co-creator of what is. Okay, my daughter's sick, or my daughter's having a shit fit, or my daughter's hungry, or my daughter's really happy, whatever it is. And it's this, you know,
Yeah.
like, I don't like roller coasters. I don't like roller coasters in reality. I don't really like them even metaphorically, but I'm on one. And when I talk to my clients, I'm like, we have some choices. This is it. We have choice. We make choices all the time. Okay. I choose what to wear. I choose what to eat. I choose what, every part of my life is a result of a choice that I've made, whether I knew it or not. And on this roller coaster, we have some choices. We have the choice to take a deep breath and in some way get off the roller coaster. Right? Okay. Yeah, the world is still a total whatever, but I just took a deep breath and I feel like I'm not being spun around. Or we can just choose to put our seatbelt on and go for this ride.
It's true. Every time anything happens, right? It doesn't matter if it's like, oh, Mom, that blueberry juice, it's not in my mouth, it's in the white rug, right? Derek always looks at me and goes, you got a choice. You can laugh or you can cry, right? You can laugh or you can cry. And, you know, we were talking before we went live and you said something that I love. You said, I'm going to, you know, misquote you, but it basically came down to the most important thing is to be present with what is. And it's so true. You know, I was sharing with you, I'm in a new phase with my boys. I thought I was a person who could shift gears quickly before I had kids. Turns out I'm a total novice compared to children. I remember very clearly, I had like figured out exactly how Sam wanted to be fed when we came home and how he wanted to sleep. And I was just like, oh, nailed it, right? Check that off. Gold star. I got this. And like 3 months later, it was like, he didn't want it, any of that, right? And I was like, oh, wait, no, hold on. I mastered it. What are we doing, right?
Yeah.
And now my boys, it's like for the first 4-5 years, it was like all mama, like they couldn't walk, live, breathe, eat, pee, sleep without mama. And now it's all daddy. And I'm like, well, wait, I mean, I was tired, right? I was really, like you said, really want to go to the bathroom by myself, but this is a little bit much, right? And what did you tell me?
That's a good question. What did I tell you?
It was the uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah. And that's, I mean, there's learning everywhere, right? There's lessons everywhere. And this, the root of all the work that I do, whether it's, you know, working with parents or being a parent or just in my life or working with clients or working with groups, our reframe, we have, again, a choice. We have this ability to choose how we see what's happening around us. You could choose to grieve the loss and, oh, they don't love me anymore and this is happening and it's happening to me. Blah, 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 blah. You know that story?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I wrote it myself.
There's an equally true story that you've just been given a huge gift, that like there's all this opportunity in there, that like you can change the genre of whatever story you're telling yourself. Same story, same plot line, but like, oh, let's make it a romance. Let's make it a comedy, right? You can laugh or you can cry. You can, and you can do all of the above, right? If we are in the present, we can feel all of it. We can say, oh, I had these expectations. They're not being met. Let me look at those expectations. Oh, they're interesting. What is actually happening though? Wow, I showered and sat on the porch for 15 minutes with my own thoughts. That's unique, right? And I think because, going back to the beginning, parenting and humaning in the 21st century is so flipping frenetic. There is just so much that we are forced on some level, encouraged, or force fed, ingesting all the time. We're expecting ourselves to show up here all the time. That it's being present in the moment does not come naturally. It requires attention and intention. And what I tried to share in my chapter are some tools to support parents, but especially mothers, how to take care of ourselves, which usually is the last thing on the list. Not even on the list, honestly. Right? You're like, I'll make that list when I'm done with this list in 18 years, right? Even when they go to Papa, there's still a long list of like, oh, I should do this. And if I do this, then, right? We've learned, I have a puppy right here now who wants to use my fingers as a chew toy. So let me give you a second. How about this? How about you chew on this? We have learned and been celebrated for working really hard to the point of almost not existing outside of what we can do for everybody else. And honestly, from that place, I'm only going to speak for myself here. When I am doing that, when I am perfecting that expectation, I am miserable and I am mean because I'm tired, because I'm out of alignment, because I haven't rested, because I don't feel connected, because I'm working from this place of expectation and always being disappointed. On the flip side, it is actually, and this is the root of everything for me, that surprises me still, even though this is what I love and live and teach. We can have more impact and more fulfillment with more ease, less effort. Because I think we have this story that I'm just keeping my head above water, or not even keeping my head above water, doing this, and this. I couldn't possibly be present or take anything else on. And that's true in that storyline. But the way to undo that storyline is actually with less. There's more ease, more presence, more impact in the interactions with our children, more fulfillment personally, when we can take this story of all the obligations, all the responsibilities, all the shit that's going on in the world, and just be like, I'm going to flip it and relate to it differently, because we all have the capacity to change how we show up, change how we respond and relate to what's going on in the world. And that can be in the world in our living room, or that can be in the world world.
So true. You know, I felt like your chapter was so important because, I mean, as you mentioned, for most people, you know, whether it's 20 weeks or 15 or 17, whatever it is, the dynamic at home, the parenting, the working, the multiple things has shifted, and everyone's needing to parent differently. They're needing to educate differently. They're needing to, you know,
self-care differently.
Self-care differently. I mean, it was like, you know, kind of got shook up in what we had been doing. Well, we couldn't do that anymore, right? And it's interesting because even with my own clients, right, the very first thing that we do in every call is it's sort of like they need 5 minutes to go, I'm not patient enough with my kids. I haven't got to do anything fun with my husband. Working, you know, online all the time with everyone in the house is hard, you know, and it's like they just need to express it before we can talk about the thing that we were going to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
And it almost feels like confession because it's like, you know, we feel like we should be doing better. And yet we know with all the things, we're giving it all we got. Yeah.
Well, and this is interesting. We felt like we needed to do it better before.
Mm-hmm.
And something that's been coming up a lot lately, I've been asking everybody, and I want to ask you and everyone who's watching this. Do you believe an equation that effort equals result? And that if you're not getting the result that you need to put in more effort?
I'm going to tell you, Sierra, I personally got really confronted with this when we moved to Colorado. So we moved here, you know, I don't know, almost
10
2
days
weeks
ago.
ago. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't put this house together, right? This is like a 2,600 square foot house, and every single thing is done. The beds were made, right? The dishes they've been washed. They're in the cupboard. I mean, there's pictures hanging on the walls. There's knickknacks on the shelves, right? There was food in the fridge. And I did have a moment. I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is so cool. And about a day later, I went, I didn't do this. Am I supposed to do something for this, right? I mean, literally, like, right? And then more things kept happening. An uncle says, you know what? I've got 2 pickups. You guys take a pickup. Well, what did I do for this pickup? Well, what about insurance? No, insurance is paid. It's licensed. Just take it. I'm pulling into the driveway. Full tank of gas. I didn't do anything for this, right? I didn't quote unquote, earn this. Yesterday, someone drops off a brand new grill and says, welcome home. And I was just like, oh, wow. I'm really starting to feel.
Right. Let me feed you. I have to do something to justify this.
I could feel how I was excited. It was awesome. And then also there was aspects that made me very uncomfortable. Yeah.
Because of this equation.
It's the equation. That's the equation I've been working on forever, right? I knew how to get straight A's. I knew how to hit that list. I knew how to achieve that. I know what to do in my business to get X, Y, Z. And these things, they're not fitting into that equation I've been working in.
And honestly, that equation, it works. It's fine. And it is true. And we have capacity. I'm not saying like, don't put effort into anything, because it's super rewarding to like, I have a goal. I'm going to put some effort into it. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to go for it. That is actually, for the most part, fulfillment. There's something that I want out there. I'm going towards it. I work with fulfillment all the time because so many of us are really honestly feeling unfulfilled. Fulfillment is not in the getting there. It's in the reaching for something that's out there. We thrive when we're stretching. Okay. However, that reality coupled with a belief of things aren't working out, I'm not meeting expectations, there's all this responsibility, factored into this equation of I'm not getting the result I want, I need to work harder, leads to this like spiraling, depleted, then resentful, angry, bitter, conniving, manipulating. How can I,
Yes.
And so there's this other approach. I think of it like sort of you can think of it like a sphere or even like an iceberg. There's the part that we see and know above the surface. And then there's all of this stuff down here that we don't see, that we don't know, that we don't acknowledge, but it's still there and it still works. And so I teach my clients about getting more results with less effort by learning what's down here, And I think you've been really challenged in the receiving. I mean, that the receiving is certainly threatening your faith in the equation, which is a good thing. I honestly, if I had that many things gifted to me in such a short amount of time, I'd be freaking out.
Yeah.
I'd definitely be like, okay, how do I balance the equation? What do I now have to do to make things right again? Right? Because we learned somewhere along the way, everywhere along the way, this for that. Mm-hmm. You have to work hard for it. Things don't come easy. All of these phrases and expressions that become part of our belief structure and almost part of our DNA. And then because we believe them, we force them to be real. Somebody gifts you something, you have to make sure to gift them 3 things back.
Right.
Right? To keep that understanding true. But what if it's not? And so coming back again to the chapter and conscious parenting is really looking at how capable we are in crafting our own realities and how significant and impactful as mothers we are. I'm raising a daughter, so I'm really attuned personally to, the roles of women, because I am teaching her every single day those equations. Am I teaching them because I believe them, or can I change what she's learning on that subtle level, right? We're learning to count. Yeah, fine. But she's learning so much more than that from me. She's learning how to interact with herself, how to interact with others, who and where she fits in the whole world. And I'm teaching that. For the most part, I think we teach that unconsciously. I want to teach it consciously. Mm-hmm. I want to be intentionally within myself, for myself, and then intentionally for myself, for her. All the things that we absorb unconsciously from the way that we're raised, from the society that we're seeped in, when we can, again, this iceberg image, there's the known, the seen, the conscious. If we just even acknowledging that there's a lot of unknown, unseen, unconscious, acknowledging it, it doesn't have to all rise to the surface. It doesn't have to all be above the surface. But until you even know that there's stuff over there, the subtler stuff, by knowing it, you change it. Knowing that it's there changes it. So one specific thing that I wanted to share, I was thinking about this conversation this morning. I wrote a chapter about conscious parenting, and I had the conversation with myself before I even put my hand up. I was like, you know, there's so much advice and so much expectation about parenting. If I write this chapter, am I feeding into the story that there's a right way? And that somehow, because I wrote the chapter, I've got it figured out. I've nailed it, right? Like you said, gold star, check. Yes and no. Okay. So conscious parenting isn't perfect parenting. There's no such thing. And all parenting is perfect. So like there is and isn't, it's this complete contradiction all at once. So one of the ways that it's been appearing for me is when I'm having a moment, I'm tired, I'm frustrated, I'm feeling things, I'm combobulated, whatever. And my daughter's, of course, programmed to need something from me at exactly the moment where I'm out of sorts. Instead of just responding like the way that we would, I am present enough in myself to say, I'm tired right now, or I need this right now, or I'm sad, and I let her in to my experience, mostly with words, but also with actions. And then she gets to relate to me by being present with it too, instead of I'm feeling this way, but I don't have enough time and energy to actually acknowledge it for myself or share it with her, so that I respond to her, but then she's only responding to my response, and then there's a whole problem over here that we both just created together. Like now she's sad and hurt because mommy's tired, but like was too quick, or whatever the thing is. When we're not present enough with ourselves, we actually make more messes and more things, whether they happen instantaneously and like blow up in our faces, or they slowly erode a relationship. And like, in 18 years, she's like, you didn't love me. Like, I don't like neither of those. And usually both, right? I don't. And when that happens, and when I disappoint my child in some way, then I want to have practiced in saying, okay, let's be with that. Let's talk about it. Whatever the thing is, at whatever stage of life I am or she is, if we can start relating to ourselves so that we can connect to one another. Because that's, for me, that's what parenting is. How can I be present with myself so that I can connect?
Yes.
For me, human interaction is connection. We know, we need belonging. We need connection to thrive. We are communal creatures. And when we are so overwhelmed and bombarded, our stress response is to disconnect from ourselves, which then makes connecting with anybody else near impossible. Mm-hmm. Or we're connecting only on this like very distant, minute, I can't quite, with the video, I don't know how to show you what I'm talking about, but maybe you know what I'm talking about, that it's not the connection that you feel on your skin, right? Like when your body prickles, it's logistics, right? Like, yeah, I fed her today. Okay, good. But there's the connection that she and I know that we're safe. Mm-hmm. You can't even put that into words, but you can totally feel it all the time. Yes. And I share in the chapter, one last thing is like, that feels so big, and it is. But again, it starts so simply. right? It doesn't take more work. It takes it happens in our thoughts. And it happens in our words, in our actions, but mostly in our thoughts, which we're completely in control of.
Yes.
And control is one of all words are, I take issue with most words, but when I say control, I mean we have the capacity to influence and impact and completely radically change the world by noticing and attuning our own thoughts. Okay? It's hard to change all the physical things out here in the world. It takes a lot of effort to change the physical things out here in the world. And this is where the equation comes from. Effort equals result. When we're talking about the physical, tangible world, the external, that equation is true. But there's a whole other world where the opposite is true. The subtle, internal, our thoughts create and project this external. And so I can actually change the external by attending to the subtle. And the way to do that is to rest, is to be quiet, is to listen to oneself. And this is what I love to share, because when I share this with people, they're like, really? There's that like hunger in us. I want to rest. I need to rest. There is that resentment too. There's that, no, I couldn't possibly, it should be harder. But when we can soften all the things that we've been trying to control out here, like your house, put themselves together. And yeah, there's still going to be blueberry juice on the white rug, and there's still going to be emotions, and there's still going to be everything. But when we've attended to and are like literate in this internal, soft, energetic space, and I know that may sound woo for some people, and that like I can put hard science to that too. I can talk about unified physics and explain it with neuroscience. I can do all of that as well, because I am actually quite skeptical myself. We can heal those wounds inside of ourselves. We can change the past, the present, and the future. And we can connect so much easier than we ever thought was possible.
Yes. Yes. I love it, Sierra. This is why I love being around you. You know, you literally just radiate this gentleness, this wisdom, this love. Thank you so much for what you contribute, not just in the book, but to this world.
It's completely my joy and pleasure.
You've contributed so much to me and everyone who's listened today. I want to remind everyone to pick up their copy of Awakening. Go to Sierra's chapter. It's beautiful, just like she has spoke today. It's available on Amazon. And if you would like to contribute in our next book, Visionary, The Future Belongs to Those Who Can See in the Dark, I'll put that link in the description as well. Sierra, thank you so much for taking this time to be with me. I'm sending you so much love to you and your baby girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on receiving all that's coming your way. I mean it.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It's been great to be here.
Absolutely.
Have a beautiful day.
Until next time, everyone, I'll say big hugs from Colorado. See you soon.